What's up, everybody? I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna.
And today we're reviewing the second movie in our long list of movies that were nominated for the Academy Awards, for the Best Picture at the Academy Award, from 1927 to 2028. The movie today is The Racket.
The Racket was nominated in 1928.
1929.
Right.
So back then they would have 2 years put together at the same ceremony. So in 1929 they had the ceremony for 1927 and 28.
Right.
And so The Racket was part of that ceremony, the very first Academy Award. So here's how we're going to do this review. For those of you who haven't watched our previous review, there's only one other one. The first part is going to be spoiler-free, where we'll just discuss the movie, what we thought of it. And the second part, we'll go in full spoiler. We'll warn you, for those of you who want to see The Racket, but don't want to be spoiled. So at that moment, you'll be warned, and then you can leave the video at that point. A little bit of information about the movie The Racket. Like we said, movie that came out in 1928, more specifically November 1st, 1928. It was directed by Lewis Milestone. And the main actors, so we had Thomas Megan playing Captain James McQuigg, Louis Wallem as Nick Scarsy. I really like him.
That's a good character.
Yeah, and Mary Prevost as Ellen Hayes. She was also really good. The movie was an adaptation from a play, a 1927 play.
With the same name.
Yeah, called The Racket. And due to like the controversial subject of the movie, which is like crooked cops and crooked city officials, it was banned in the city of Chicago. So that's
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Back then they didn't mess around. Yeah.
Right.
So that's interesting. The movie, like we know, was nominated for Best Picture, but at the time it wasn't called Best Picture, it was called Outstanding Picture.
Right.
One of the 3 movies that years that were nominated for Outstanding Picture. And it was also remade in 1951, so remakes of old movies are not a new thing.
Right, they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine that remakes of old movies became old themselves already.
Yeah, and then those will be remade, the remake of the remake of the remake.
That's how the world works.
Yeah, remakeception. Let's do a little synopsis, spoiler-free again. This is the story of just one guy, a police captain, who vows to bring down a powerful bootlegger, Nick Scarsy, who is himself protected by all the crooked cops and politicians in the city. So, top level, tell me, Anna, what did you think of this movie?
I have to tell you, I really liked it. I feel like the story was very modern in the sense that it would still look good on a screen today. Like the story itself, the characters, their interaction, it didn't really feel like I was watching something from really 90 years ago, if you think about it. That's a lot of time. But yeah, I feel like it's something that could be remade today and it would still look like actual. And
because of the timeless subject that we're talking about here, which is corruption.
Right.
And sadly, corruption is still everywhere around us.
Not only just that, but also I feel like the way the characters were portrayed, as no one was black or white.
Yeah.
Like everyone had
little shades of gray here and there, which made you relate to every character, you know?
Right.
Like not only like, oh, the cop is good and the criminal is bad, and so I'm on the side of the cop. No, throughout the whole thing, you're like, oh, you're kind of shady and you're kind of cool, and like you move around. Yeah. So you liked it?
Oh, I did. I liked it so much.
Yeah. What did you like the most? Like, if there was one thing you can pinpoint without spoiling again, like, was it the story, the characters, one character in particular?
I will say what I liked the most was, as I said earlier, the interaction between the characters. Like, you can tell when some characters interact with others, they act a certain way, and then when they interact with other characters, they act in another way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that gave a lot of like depth and dimension to each character. Like,
Yeah.
they were really complex characters, well written,
Not
well
one-dimensional,
played.
more than one layer. I would
Yes.
say too that definitely the characters were, because the story itself, while very interesting story, it's something that you've seen before. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Like it's The Untouchable. It's this kind of story, but the characters are so well made and
Right. And really well portrayed.
yeah. Oh, the actors are so good.
So good, yes.
I feel the hitch to go into more details. We'll just tell the people who don't want to be spoiled and want to leave right now. You recommend the movie.
I do. I recommend the movie, definitely.
Yeah, and I also
I feel like it's a good place to start for like old movies in general. If you're kind of curious to see what an old movie looks like, but you don't really know where to look, you can look there.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. I also recommend that movie. It was like very good. I enjoyed it from the beginning to the end. Now, for anyone again who doesn't want to be spoiled, leave now, escape, run away, but come back for our next video next week about what was it, Wings,
Right, next week.
the actual winner of the Academy Award that year. But for those of you who don't mind being spoiled, stay with us because we're going right now into spoilers. So,
Yes.
you were talking a bit about how characters interact with other characters in different manners. I want to come back to Nick, which is one of the best characters in the movie. Very interesting how, for example, he interacts with his brother, who he doesn't want his brother to take part into the shady dealings of the
criminal
gangs.
life.
The
Yeah, he
criminal-
wants his brother to have a good reputation, to go to school.
Exactly.
He's pushing him.
And so you're seeing that and you're like, oh, Nick, good guy Nick, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Nick, come on my side. But then you turn around and Nick is a murderer, you know? It starts the movie and he kills someone.
Right.
And then a few scenes later at the dinner, he kills someone else, you know? He's just like killing people left and right. Actually, I think he has 3 kills in this movie. Everyone who dies is dead by Nick, except for Nick himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
But yeah, and so you realize, oh no, he's a criminal, he's a bad guy. But he has this side of him where he cares about his brother, you know. The brother becomes the main crux of the story when he get arrested for hit and run. And Nick wants to get him out like so badly.
Which also makes you think, I feel like, while Nick as a criminal has this like he owns his actions, he owns what he's doing, he knows the kind of life that he's leading. His brother, on the other hand, seems to be kind of, you know, hiding behind his brother's power and influence,
and the
thinking,
money, you know,
yeah, and
he's
thinking
aloof.
that, oh, I can't be touched, I can't be affected. It doesn't matter that I hit someone on the road.
Yeah, or he's spending the money
Right.
that his brother brings in. But which also brings us to, you say Nick knows what he is. I feel like, in a sense, McQuigg, which is the police
Doesn't
doesn't know what he is, because he sees himself very much as the good guy, as the white knight, you know.
Yeah, but you can see throughout the movie that he is willing to, like, kind of cross or push that boundary of what is right and correct to do in order to achieve his goal. Which you could say it's a noble goal, like he wants to get rid of
the criminal, this big criminal.
But is it worth to?
One of his officers died in the process, you know,
Right, and
through a decision that
he made,
Yeah.
and he seemed to have made that decision, like being aware that he's putting
something might happen, you know.
that he's putting his men in danger.
Yeah, and even the DA, which is corrupt, but comes and tell him, you know, you have to follow the law. I come with a paper that says you have to release Nick's brother. You have to do it, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Nick can come here himself. You know,
Right.
so you see that he doesn't really play by the rules.
And here comes in, actually, I would say my favorite character from the movie, which is, what is her name? The girl.
The main lady, Ellen.
Ellen, right.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's the one, like, she is that character who just sees and understands these things. Like, she sees them, she's close enough to the gangs that she knows how they operate, but she's also seems to have enough experience with the other side, like the law force, that she knows how they act, and she looks at the captain and she tells him
she calls
exactly
him up
that. She calls him up. She tells him exactly that, like, you and Nick, you're not that different.
Exactly.
It's pretty much what she says.
And I love her because she's also like a strong female character, which I did not expect to meet in a movie from the 1920s.
Right, that is true. I was surprised by that also.
There are movies made now where the female character is not nearly as important or like stand their ground like she did in that movie, you know.
Right, that is true. That's why I think that's one of the reasons why she is my favorite character from this movie.
She gets like in trouble, but she's not a like lady in distress or like waiting for the cop captain to come and save her. No, like the whole time she doesn't need anyone else. You know, she tells them all out on their bullshit, like whether it's Nick.
Yeah, she has the courage to stand up in front of Nick and actually confront him and tell him, you know, what's on her mind.
Yeah, you can't treat me like this, you know.
Yeah.
And she stands up to the captain, of course, we just talked about that. So she's very much capable of taking care of herself, which I really liked. I want to talk a little bit about the ending. I felt like the ending was also a little bit ambiguous in the sense that while McQuigg, in a sense, succeeded in getting rid of Nick, it's not really through his own means.
Right.
You know, Nick tries to get the DA and the other allies that he had. I say had because they're turning on him to help him
escape.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we can't help you right now. You're in too deep. We're going to wait till after the election because the election, the backdrop of the story is that there's an election coming.
In a few days there it was, right?
Yeah, and so they say, we'll help you after the election. And he gets angry. He says, oh, I know a lot of things about you and about all these other corrupt people working with me or for me, you know. And that brings his death, basically, because then he gets killed, not by McQuigg, but by his own allies.
Right. So you feel like even though he did manage to get Nick off the streets, he didn't actually succeed in anything because the rest of the corrupt people are
still there
in place.
Yeah,
and even by Nick dying in the end, he actually lost someone who would have been a witness, who could have
testified against all of these people.
And it seemed like there were people who were much higher in power and who are capable of doing much more, you know, bad things than Nick
exactly,
ever
because
did.
Nick's place as a street gangster will be taken by someone else, you know? But these people, they're still there. The DA is still the DA, you know? And so I thought like that was interesting. Even like when you look at McQuigg's face, he doesn't seem that happy at the end.
Well, of course, I mean.
Yeah. Well, his intention was never to have
have Nick killed.
Yeah.
It was just have him captured.
Yeah. But yeah, very good movie. Can you tell us, you said it a bit earlier that you liked the movie, but now that we've talked through the spoilers a little bit, including the spoilers, including everything, like, what was your favorite part of the movie?
So I will stay to what I said earlier. It was the interaction between the characters and mostly the way I saw the female character, Helen, interact with all the strong men in power, in different positions of power in this like game of corruption, and like the way she is, who doesn't really have anything or anyone to rely on. She's just by herself, but she is capable to stand up to all of these men. Yeah,
I'd like to say the same thing. The characters were the best part of this movie. I would definitely tell you guys, watch it, get your hands on it. Wonderful movie. A great, I was going to say start, but this is not really a start because we had the Seventh Heaven last week.
Right.
But they're a great start regardless, because Seventh Heaven is also
a really good movie.
So for that first year, we're hitting it hard. And I don't know about you, like, were you expecting these movies from the 20s to be like good, or were you like, oh man, I can't wait to get to the...
I was expecting to see more classical kind of stories, more, I don't know, a more old theme kind of storyline.
Like Shakespearean, like Hamlet?
No, just more, no, maybe more simplistic in a way.
Oh.
Like I wasn't expecting them to be this complex, and like I said before, like this actual.
Especially since they don't have the advantage of being able to talk. It's all titles.
Right, exactly. It's all titles. That's a whole other thing.
And yet they can still make these intricate stories, and you as a watcher, you understand everything that's happening.
Yeah,
still.
you do, definitely.
Yeah.
And also the characters are the actors, they're very expressive. So.
Yeah, so very good at telling you, like, through not only the titles, but through, like, their facial expression and their movement.
Their
like,
movements.
what is happening, what their feelings, etc., etc. But yeah, definitely a great movie. I recommend it. And you too.
I do.
Yeah. So that was it for this week. Next week, like we said earlier, we're gonna watch Wings, the movie that actually won the award for best or outstanding picture that year, best picture, which will close our first year. Huh? So we're getting there. The goal is huge, but we're getting there little by little.
1 year after 1 year out of 100. But we have to say that this year only had 3 nominations.
Yeah,
there will be more and more movies.
Yeah, some of these years they get a bit heavy-handed on the nominations. But yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. I hope you subscribe so you can watch that video when it drops next Tuesday, and also hit the notification bell to be notified when the video comes out. Have a nice day.